we are going to talk about transformations in this unit. And so we have a book of transformations. And just to get started, let's talk a little bit about the definition of a transformation. A transformation is a process that changes the position and possibly the size and orientation of a shape. So a transformation is a process that changes the position and possibly the size and orientation of a shape. In other words, we're going to shift things around, move them around, maybe flip them over, maybe turn them. Those are all transformations. Okay? It's just changing their position. Sometimes it makes them bigger or smaller. Sometimes it changes the direction that it's facing. Okay? So there's 4 types of transformations. This one is called a reflection. This one is called a translation. This one is called a rotation. And the last one is called a dilation. All 4 of these transformations are going to be shown in the booklet. Okay? But this first video is just going to cover reflections. Okay? So a reflection is a flip or a mirror image. Okay? It's when you flip. Okay? Or you mirror image something. And reflections are on pages 1 and 2 of the booklet. So we're just doing 2 pages today. Okay? Okay, guys. So let's open it up to page 1, and let's first talk about what is the definition of a reflection. A reflection is a flip of a figure over a point, line, or plane. Okay. And for the sake of this specific class, we are just going to flip figures over lines. We're not going to flip them over points or planes. We're just going to talk about line, okay? So if you look at number 1, we're going to flip number 1 over. This is called a line of reflection. This right here is called a line of reflection. So we are going to flip this triangle over this line of reflection. Have you ever noticed that when you're looking in a mirror, that like wherever you put your finger, it's equally far from the mirror as it is from your finger in both the mirror and also in real life, okay? So if you're standing 5 feet from the mirror, when you look in the mirror, it looks like you're also standing 5 feet away from the mirror, okay? So that's what we're going to do here. To flip a figure or to reflect a figure, we need to reflect points A, B, and C. We need to reflect them over this line of reflection, okay? So we're going to reflect A, and we want it to be the same distance from the line on both sides. So if you look, A is about, this far on my ruler, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths of a centimeter. So I'm going to make A that far away from my ruler in the same spot on the other side of the line. And we call this the image, okay? And we're going to put, it's not A anymore, it's A prime, okay? So this is called the image, and this is A prime, saying this is the new A, okay? We're going to do the same thing with C. We're going to say that's about 2.2 away from the line. Mark it on my ruler, and then I'm going to go, sorry, this is B, my bad. Put a dot, and this is point B prime. We're going to do the same for C. We're going to go, okay, it's about 2.3, right? A little bit further. So we're going to come over here and put it about 2.3 away, and we'll call this C prime. Okay? And then we'll just connect the dots. And that is my reflected figure. So this one is called the image, and it's the result of the transformation. Okay? The image, that's the result of the transformation. Okay? Then the image, we always use A prime, B prime, and C prime. Okay? This one is called the pre-image. That just means that's the original figure. So there's some more vocabulary that you might hear during class. Pre-image and image. Okay? Alright. Let's skip number 2 and let's just reflect number 3 real quick, just because it's a little bit fun. And I'm not even going to be as exact on it. I'm just going to try to kind of make a reflection, okay? So we're just going to say, okay, this dot's about right here, and that dot's about right there, that dot's about right there, maybe here, and then here. So once again, we've got our image, and over here we have our pre-image, meaning this is the one we started with, and this is the reflection or the result of the transformation. Okay? Alright, so in examples 1, 2, and 3, they're a little bit easier because we actually have a graph that we can use to help us graph. Okay? So in example 1, we've got A, B, and C. And so we're going to say A, B, and C. We're going to write their original coordinates down. So A is at 1, 5. B is at 4, negative 1. And C is at negative 3, 2. Okay? So we wrote them down. When we reflect it, remember we use that little prime symbol? So we have A prime, B prime, and C prime. And now we're going to reflect it. And they want us to reflect it over the x-axis. So our line of reflection is going to be the x-axis. So however far away from the x-axis A is, that's how far it needs to be on the other side. So it's 5 high here, so we're going to come down and put it 5 low on the other side, and that's A prime. So it's 1, negative 5. Okay. Now let's do B prime. B is below the x-axis, so we're going to reflect it above the x-axis. So it's going to be 4, 1. And that's B prime. Lastly, we've got C prime. It's above the x-axis, so we're going to reflect it to the other side, and we're going to put it below. It was 2 above to start with, now it's 2 below. So negative 3, negative 2. Then you just connect the dots. Never mind the fact that it was already on the other side of the green line. When your line of reflection goes through your figure, it's going to kind of go over top and overlap each other. What do you notice happened with our points? Well, we kept the exact same x, but our y value flipped from positive to negative. To write that mathematically, we write x, comma, negative y. That means the opposite of what y is. So y was positive, now y is negative. Y was negative, now it's positive. Y was positive, now it's negative. Okay? So if I'm flipping over the x-axis, I'm going to change my y value, because I'm flipping the height of the figure. It's going from here to the bottom or from the bottom to the top. So I'm changing the y, but the x stays the same. What do you think is going to happen if we flip on the y-axis? So here's my axis of symmetry. And honestly, A, B, and C are exactly the same points. So let's copy those down from the first problem. It's 1, 5, 4, negative 1, and negative 3, 2. And what's going to happen is now, instead of moving up and down, now I'm moving left and right. So I was at 1 for A, and now I'm going to be at negative 1. Whoops, I need to write A prime. So this is A prime, B prime, and C prime. Negative 1, still positive 5. B prime is over here at 4, and I'm going to reflect it over, so I'm going to be at negative 4, B prime. So still negative 1. The 1 didn't change, the 4 did. C was on this side, now we're going to move it over to the other side, and it was originally at negative 3, and now we're going to move to positive 3. And then we'll connect the dots. So the image is right there. Okay, so what happened? Well, y stayed the same, and I took the opposite of x. So this is going to be negative x, comma, y. Okay? The last one we're going to do is over the line y equals x. Okay? We're going to flip it over the line y equals x. And we're going to kind of try to make a guess at some of these points, because it is a little difficult to see. Okay? If I draw the line y equals x, that's this line right here. Okay? I didn't do the best job drawing it, but that's this diagonal line that goes through right here. That's the parent function for linear equations. It goes through 0, 0, and it goes up 1 over 1 every single time, right? Because the slope is 1. So we want to flip these points over the line. So B is going to end up over here, and A is going to end up over here, and C is going to end up over here. Okay, we're flipping them over the lines, like a mirror, just like a mirror. Actually, C is going to end up here, A is going to end up here, and B is going to end up here. Right? We're just going to flip right over the line. You just have to imagine it. So, let me just tell you what the rule is for this. The rule is switch your y and your x. That's the rule. So it's still the same original A, B, and C, which are at 1, 5, 4, negative 1, and negative 3, 2. But the reflected over the line y equals x, my A prime is going to flip. We're going to change our y and our x. So it's now going to be 5, 1. And I'm going to graph that. 5, 1. There's A prime. B, I'm going to flip my y and my x. So B prime is at negative 1, 4. Negative 1, 4. And C, same thing. You're going to flip your y and your x. So it's 2, negative 3. Notice I didn't change negatives or positives. I literally just changed the place they were in. 2 was in the y spot, now it's in the x spot. Okay? So now our 2, negative 3, which is about right here. And then you just connect your dots, and that is your image. Okay? So we have 3 rules here. These 3 rules, don't expect you to memorize, but you need to know how to find them in your table. If I flip over the x-axis, I'm going to use this rule. That means the y changes is the opposite of y. If I flip over the y-axis, I'm going to take the opposite of x. And if I flip over the line y equals x, then I'm going to flip the x and the y value. Now, if they give you over the line x equals 1 or y equals 1, you have to remember that vertical and horizontal line rule. And it's Hoy and Vux. Okay? If it's Hoy, if it's y equals, then you're going to have a horizontal line. If it's x equals, then you're going to have a vertical line. Okay? So if I wanted to flip over the line, I'm just going to make an example over here. If I wanted to do this triangle flipped over the line x equals -1, then that's going to be my line of reflection right here instead of the y-axis. So it will not follow any of these yellow rules. It's going to follow its own rule, which means go equal distance from that line of reflection. Okay? So that's just kind of an FYI. Hoi means horizontal and Vux means vertical. X equals and Y equals. So just keep that in mind. Okay? Vertical line. Alright, that's it for reflections. Thanks for watching.